Hello basketball coaches, today I'm going to talk to you about the most popular defenses I foresee happening and being used a lot this year, which is the year 2020. And I really actually foresee these zone defenses becoming very prevalent over the next few years because there's more and more younger leagues allowing zone defenses, and these tend to be the easiest zones to run. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is obviously letting you know what zones you're going to be probably playing up against the most, but also showing you some different ways on how you can beat those zone defenses. But really quick, if you want an unbeatable basketball zone defense for yourself, make sure to go check out the link below called the Unbeatable Basketball Defense book. It's written by myself. It's a defense that I use myself, and it's definitely a fantastic defense. It actually helped one team. I got a message the other day saying that the opposing team only scored 2 points on their team throughout the entire first quarter. So definitely go check out that defense. But anyways, what are the most popular defenses you're going to be going up against? Number one is the 2-3, and you've probably already played up against that zone defense many times. So I'm going to be going over how you can beat that defense. Another defense is the 3-2, which is essentially the opposite of the 2-3. If you really look down onto it, it's basically forcing the players towards the sideline, same as the 2-3, except it's defending the perimeter a little bit more than the 2-3. The 2-3 is made more for defending the down low, the block area of the court. And then the third defense is a defense that used to be extremely rare and you would never really see it being ran. However, I've been seeing it and hearing about it a ton this year, so I'm including it in today's video. And that is the 1-1-3 zone defense. So what I'm going to show you is obviously the 2-3 and the 3-2 defense first and how you can beat that defense. And then we're going to move over towards that 1-1-3. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check these out really quickly. So really quickly, the 2-3 zone defense and the 3-2 zone defense, actually any zone defense, you're going to be noticing that they are guarding an area of the court and not an individual man. So if you didn't already know that already, you now do. And there's a few weaknesses when it comes to the 2-3 and when it comes to the 3-2. Number one weakness is if you attack any of those gaps, you will be creating a double team location where now you essentially have one player, depending on where that player is, defending two players at once. So you can use this to your advantage. So by attacking that middle gap and by having, let's say, a 5-out type of offense, now you're able to swing that ball. These players are going to be moving up. You're going to be able to swing that ball. That's going to draw player 3 up and player 2 over. We now have player 3 open in the wing. And after this pass, player 2 could be cutting towards the rim, where now we could even get that ball into player 2 quickly, draw a double team down there, and then kick it out, or have player 3 cutting baseline. There's so many options, and you don't even need a single play to run. You just have to understand how to attack the gaps and to make sure that you get paint touches. And that goes for any zone defense. Attack the gaps and get the ball into the paint, whether that be in the high post, which is the elbow, into the low post, or into the center of the key. It does not matter. As long as you get that ball in that area, you are going to be collapsing the defense and opening up multiple shots from the 3-point line. And that again goes for any zone defense. Now, going into the 3-2 zone defense, we most likely will be having players guarding zones that look like this. So as you can see, the baseline is very wide open. So if you can get that ball into that high post, or maybe just a little bit below that high post, you're going to be drawing up those baseline defenders, and you're going to be opening up the baseline for players on your team to cut towards the basket. So that is some very simple strategies that you could use so you could get player 4 the ball in that high post. That's going to be drawing up player 4 And now we can have player 5 cutting baseline. Again, very simple, where you don't even need to necessarily have a play to be able to beat a zone defense. So if player 4 comes all the way up, that's a high to low pass. If he doesn't pop all the way up and we have player 2 moving in, we now have player 1 who's open. We can do a quick kick out, and if he's a good shooter and he's a quick shooter, he's able to hit that 3-point shot really well. Then we have ourselves a very good strategy without even really trying to even run a play. Now, a simple play that I like to run, whether it be against a 2-3 zone or a 3-2 zone, it really does not matter. This will work against both, is an overload type of triangle. So instead of having 4 players on offense on the same side, we're only going to have 3, and then we're going to swing it, because I personally really love to get the ball on one side and swing it around, because the defense does not shift all that quickly, especially at younger age groups. So I'm going to have player 1 pass to player 4, and player 1 is going to cut down towards that low corner. We're going to be having player 2 move over, player 5 is going to be moving over, and player 4 is going to be covering that block. Now, what we're going to be seeing is player 3, he may be double teaming player 4, or he could be moving down into single coverage on player 1. Either way, this play is still going to work. If we want, we can get the ball into player 5, and we may have some quick cuts towards the center of the key if our players are watching the defense and where they're looking, because if they're looking away, like player 4 may be looking at player 5, player 2 may be really worried about player 2 blue, and if player 3 can cut towards the middle of the key and get an open shot, then definitely go and get it. But if that's not the case and we want to swing the ball, what's going to happen is player 2 is going to get open on this side. Either the ball is going to get passed back out to player 4, or player 5 is just going to pass straight to player 2, one or the other. At this point, if we're running up against a 2-3 or a 3-2, it doesn't matter. He is going to be wide open until player 1 starts guarding him again. And now we're going to be having player 3 moving down, setting a screen on player 4, player 5 curling around and setting a screen for player 5. Player 2 is going to be dribbling over towards this side. We're going to be seeing player 1 using that double screen and popping out towards this free throw line extended. This individually single play helped create one of my players 4 possessions in a row, made 3-point shot. Very simple, and made that player a ton of points that game. I think he ended up with roughly 26 or 29 points, somewhere in that range. And he was a grade 8 player playing up a level as well. So that's definitely a huge thing. Now, what we're going to be having is player 4. He is going to be also using that double screen and showing towards that mid-range area. If he has that shot, I know it's really congested, but especially if player 4 has fought through to try and cover player 1, then player 3 can even move up towards the point, and player 4 may be all alone down there for a nice easy layup. So there's a couple of options there. After that pass, we want player 2 also to go down into this corner, and now we have set up that triangle once again. Player 5 is going to be moving out, and if we have swung the ball quick enough, player 1 or player 2 may have 3-point shots, and player 4 may have an option down low as well. So make sure to make those players pass the ball and swing the ball as quick as possible. So the next zone is, again, what used to be a rare zone, but no longer is a rare zone, because apparently there's a ton of coaches using this zone defense. So basically how this works, player 1 covers the point. He may be covering all the way across, or he may be just covering the point. It comes down to the coach, but generally speaking, he's covering all of this area. Next, player 2 is covering the high post. Player 4 is going to be covering this wing. Player 5 is covering the low block, and player 3 is covering that wing. So, when you start moving the players around, and I'm going to go into a little bit further in depth of how this zone defense works in a future episode or in a future video, but really quickly, if the ball is out in the wing, player 4 is guarding, player 5 is in the low post, player 2 is in the high post, player 1 is going to be still covering the point unless player 4 is there. Then in that case, he's probably going to be covering player 4, and we're going to be seeing player 3 cover that middle section of this side of the key. How are we going to beat this zone defense? Well, let me show you, because it looks pretty solid right now, and that's why a lot of coaches are using it, but I'm going to show you how to beat it. If you have really good three-point shooters, the 5-out beats this offense extremely easily. And how you're going to do that is by passing the ball over to player 4, because player 1 is guarding player 1 and player 2 is covering the high post. That leaves these corners wide open for shots. If you can pass the ball quick enough to the wing, that's going to do one of two things. That's either going to bring player 1 over and player 2 up, and then at this point, if player 4 has not shot that ball just yet, he may have also brought up player 4, in which case then that's a shot, but that's very rare if the defense knows what they're doing. Player 2 is going to move up. When he does, we want player 3 to go towards that high post. We want him to attack those two players, which by attacking those two players, he's going to be attacking that gap, which will collapse those two players, and he can kick the ball out. Now, this is a very simple way of beating the 1-1-3. However, I'm going to show you a set play that you can run to beat this defense. Really quickly, a lot of motion offenses will beat the 1-1-3 zone defense anyway, so keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to use this specific play, but many zone defenses, if you run a 5-out, pass and cut, pass and screen away, or pass and screen 4, you're going to be very successful anyways. That is my go-to play with every single team I coach. Let's get down to the clipboard one more time to check out this set play. Okay, so really quickly, I personally like to make defensive players useless. And by doing this, you're going to make these 3 lower players absolutely useless and not worthwhile even running down there anymore. You're going to be making the other team switch out of this really quickly. So what you're going to be doing is running this high 1-4 set offense. What we're going to be having is player 2 receiving the pass from player 1. Player 4 is setting that screen on player 2 quickly before, just as soon as that pass goes off, player 4 is setting that screen for player 5 to use that screen. We want player 5 to get that ball. There's a big reason for that. We want player 4 to now roll off of that screen. That's going to be collapsing these players. We can have player 2 move down once again if you even want. It's up to you. But player 5 is going to be able to pass out to player 2. Player 2 could take that shot. That's going to be popping out player 4 red. We now have player 4 blue in the low post. And we're going to be having player 2 red guard player 5. If we have a 3-point shooter on this side and player 2 hasn't taken a shot yet, we're going to be having player 1 set a screen wherever player 1 red is, or if player 1 red is way over here, we're going to have player 1 move over towards this side. Player 5 is going to set that screen. Player 3 is going to get open. But really quickly, I want player 2 looking for that shot against this defense. Another option is when we'll get these players back to where they were, we had that defense beat. So we get that player 5 the ball, he could have taken that shot as well. Or if that draws up player 5 and player 4 rolls off, we now have a bounce pass into player 4 for that layup. If there's a player coming over to defend player 4, then we have player 3 cutting on the weak side, and we can get him the ball. But generally speaking, we want to get player 2 a shot over there. I hope that this video helps your team win more games. If it does, let us know in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you, and hit that like button and subscribe if you like more basketball plays, drills, and skills.